think the thing I wanted to sort of get across is that the system doesn't have to be complex for all users. So those who've got great power can have great power. Those who just need to see their project and a few fields in it will have the capacity to be delineated back to the bits that are important to them, and the rest can either be made invisible to them, or if you want them to see the front screen with all projects so they can see where their project sits against groups in their own area, you can subscribe it back. So again, the whole thing is keep it simple for the people who want it just for their own areas. Where you're trying to use it to communicate information, you can add that in as a read-only basis. It's about defining what's best for different users at different horizons. At the planning and strategy level, one of the things we haven't shown you is the ability to create different scenarios. So you can create different groups of projects and programs and call it scenario A, B, C, D, E, all with different ingredients in them, different projections in them, different things, and you can compare them and you can drop them out or drop them in or move projects around in that space. So it gives you enormous power in your planning and thinking through and deciding what you want to do. So I hope we've given you a pretty good overview.
Can I just check if anybody has any questions on the phone? Any more questions?
Not for me, it's looking good.
Okay, no.
No, that was great, thank you.
I suppose the only other thing that I still had was we mentioned in the proposal about the ability to map impact. What does that actually look like, and how do you obtain that information?
Well, obtain the information is a really good question. So, we're doing a big pilot of managing impact with CSIRO at the moment, and we're about a third of the way into that project for exactly that conversation. So there are two aspects to impact that we're trying to improve substantially on how they do it. One is about managing the planning of impact. So where people are projecting whether they're going to think they're going to get output, outcome and impact. And impact can be defined in anything that's qualitative or quantitative. It's not restricted. So we're trying to create a planning horizon that says we think over the next 10 or 20 years we can achieve these sorts of outcomes and consequences. And that can be in the economical area or the environmental area or the community area. And again, it's defining what you think the critical measures are for you. So we're trying to narrow the 4,000 potential things into about 25 to 30 high-level KPIs that generally get used in the areas of interest to them at the planning horizon, and then their building impact statements will help explain those or through some simple models. Then under that, we're trying to build a framework which says operationally from the projects that are meant to achieve this, what are their forecasts as they're going along for what they think they're going to achieve, and as they learn things, how are those forecasts changing? So we can map what we think the likely achievement of that impact is going to be from where, and where there are gaps and what they need to do about it, and where they need to restructure their portfolio or try and accelerate some things or reduce their impact projections back down, and manage that dynamically. Now, the big challenge in that area is about building reasonable expectations about what does an impact mean and how do you use terminology and models that fit the environment. So we're working across the ag group, land and water, manufacturing and minerals, and each of those areas has a very different definition of what impact is. So if you say to mining, tell us what yield looks like over the next 20 years and what you've done to change it, they're going to go, what on earth do you mean? But you mean recovery. Oh, we know what we can do for recovery of resources. Whereas if we go into agricultural, we'll say, okay, now tell us what you've done for crop yield, or tell us what you've done to reduce the amount of pesticides, or tell us what you've done. They're all the key impact measures that you've got to decide you want, narrow them down, and have everyone work towards those. Now, under that, you can have some complex models that help you try and estimate what the summary of that is. But in the end, you've got to be able to define what you have decided are the key impact things that represent what your consequence is across New South Wales or across Australia and the groups you're doing work for, and how you can report on those and update them.
So one answer to that impact question, based on what we've shown you, so you look at the projections that we've made some assumptions that says that we think 2.5% per year is a reasonable increase in external income. That's an impact on you. So the impact is you get more money. But the way you get that is by achieving the strategic milestones, which is having an impact on those external clients. That means that you're achieving outcomes for them, and as a result, you're getting money back in. So this particular system that we've shown you today as a demonstration is a model of generating an impact on external clients so that they pay you more, which is an impact on you, right? So what John's talking about is defining what we mean by impact. When we went through this and we said achieving on strategic milestones for clients or customers or whatever you call them is an impact on them, and as a result they have an impact on you because they keep paying you to do more and more.
So our system is not constrained by any metric that's important to you. It can be any metric, and you can also modify those and add to those or change those as you go along. So, does that help answer the impact space?
Yeah, okay, that's a good thing.
And it's important in the context with CSRO, for instance, where they've got different stakeholders and they might come along and say, okay, show us what's happening in Western Australia in the resource sector, what research you've been doing, what spending you've been doing, and where you think your impact will be over the next 10 or 15 years. Within seconds we can show you that from once we've got the correct data in, and therefore they can answer those ministerial queries. Whereas at the moment, they give them a whole lot of descriptive information, which takes a week or two to generate, and they don't look too good in that sense. And, I think it's something that's building and is going to become more and more important in terms of giving people confidence that you're managing things strategically to have the impact that you're trying to achieve across the target sectors that you're working against. And the more you can inform and show why and how is it trending, the greater confidence you'll have with the stakeholders that you've got.
Yeah. Yes, we tell the ministry you've achieved 32% growth in the rural economy, and you can prove it. You get more funding.
Absolutely.
That's the plan.
Rather than a bunch of description about what might have happened, and he still doesn't know whether that's the answer or not.
Well, what we've seen tends to be that you'll roll out some examples of where you've had some good projects, but it doesn't inform across the whole sector what you've really done.
Yeah.
And so they go, well, that's very nice, thank you very much, but what really happened in breadth? Yeah.